The next guest we will have is Jean-Daniel Pitteloud, who is the coordinator of the small wind section in World Wind Energy Association, situated in Bonn, Germany. Jean, are you ready to go in now? I know that we are a little bit in a good time, so it's not. You will have all the time you need, it seems
I'm
like.
ready.
You are ready?
Yes.
Well, then I'd like to welcome you and thank you for giving us the opportunity to hear about the small wind activities from WWEA. The table is yours, or the screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Morten, and thank you to the Nordic Folkecenter for the opportunity. And yeah, good morning to everyone and good night for those in North America.
Oh, the sound, Jean, the sound is not very good. It's difficult to hear you.
Now, do you hear better?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let me just check with the... Yeah, so yeah, thank you. Good morning and good night for those in North America. Yeah, I will present today. Well, I wanted to present more about the activities of the WWEA and small wind, but I will start with the market overview, because it's always good to have a short overview of what the market for small wind is. So I have a little bit of kind of an update of what I presented last year in the last conference. So let me just start with it. Second, yeah. So yeah, the market for small wind by the end of 2019, we have registered over 1,200,000 turbines installed worldwide. That was an increase of almost 3% compared to the previous year. And we expect this market will grow 5% more or less in 2020. Mainly driven by markets in Japan and Italy that is coming up again, and US with the, well, let's say with the same figures we have in previous years. Also, we expect in Denmark to have a number of few installations there. The rest of the markets will be very stable, no many changes compared to previous years. So by country, you can see here in this figure, in 2019, China grew 3.4%. Relevant numbers here is Japan, they grew 5.9%, and there is a big number of units that will come online during the next years. Italy, as you can see here, no installations. In 2019, no new installations. Also the same as in 2018, that there were no new installations there. So in terms of capacity, that is maybe more interesting. You can see here how in 2019 there were 40 megas of wind turbines, small wind turbines installed worldwide. The number has decreased from 2017, when, especially in Italy and Japan, there were a high number of installations there with bigger machines. So the capacity, of course, went up. So we expect to see maybe a similar number or maybe bigger, depending on how Italy will develop in 2020. So by country, you can see here, especially in Japan, they have many, previous to 2019, previous to 2017, they have many small machines, off-grid machines, so they were under 1 kilowatt, but with the feed-in tariff, they saw a high number of new installations of bigger machines. Of course, the capacity grew a lot, 30%. In Denmark, you can see also here that we registered in 2019 a 70% increase in the installed capacity. In Denmark, there are a few good manufacturers of over 20 kilowatt machines, backing wind and solid wind power, for example. So we expect in Denmark will also continue increasing similarly. So with higher capacity machines, so 25 kilowatt machines. So Italy, as you can see here, also 0% increase in 2000. Actually, in Italy, there were In 2019 there were 2 megawatts decommissioning, and in 2018 8 megawatts. So not only that there were no new installations, but actually some turbines were taking off. So of course the main leader is China, although they have decreased the number of turbines in the last 2 years, but still of course it's a huge market. So I will just talk a little bit about some of the countries. I think this I presented already in October, so I will not explain too much. But yeah, in Italy, the main problem will be that we are sharing the quota that is for a group. I mean, in the group A, we are talking about small wind and small PV. So we are kind of competing with PV now for getting those 770 megawatts. So there's a huge difference, and let's see how it develops. But the good news is that in Italy already in 2020, in the last information we had is that in the first half of 2020, there were already 8 megawatts of new installations in Italy. So that means that from 0 to 2 years in a row with 0 installations, now we have at least in half year 8 megawatts. So we expect to see this growing. Let's see which size of machines, if still 60 kilowatt machines, or if they go to 100 because of the feed-in tariff. You can see here in this table, it goes from 1 to 100 kilowatt, the same feed-in tariff of 15 cents per kilowatt hour. So let's see if this continues, the size of 60, or it grows. Just as a reference, I mean, this presentation, you will probably get it after a conference, so I will not explain too much about this, but you can see here, if you want to go to Italy, then you can see more or less where are most of the installations, in which areas. So you can see here the effect actually of the feed-in tariff on the capacity of the machines itself. So you can see here the 3 different regulations that were, let's say, useful for small wind in the past. So you can see here that most of the machines were 60 kilowatt because of the feed-in tariff. The maximum was 60 kilowatts, so it makes more sense to install bigger machines. Also, the other feed-in tariff was around 20 kilowatts. So you can see here actually what is the most of the installations, in which sizes they are. So now let's see if this grows actually a little bit, 100 kilowatt, because of the feed-in tariff. In US, yeah, there's a good information on internet, so I will not explain too much about that. But if you go to the distributed wind reports, you can see every year they have a lot of information there, useful if you want to go to US. But yeah, in this chart, you can see here how it has decreased, but somehow keep stable around the between 1 and 2 megawatts per year. So here you can see that is mainly dominated now by, or the last 2019 dominated by domestic manufacturers, and only few imports. By size, you can see here that actually under 1 kilowatt was very stable, has been very stable actual market. For then more than 1 kilowatt, you can see how it has decreased. And this chart is very interesting. I will recommend you to have a look later in detail, but you can see here all the projects, not all the projects, but projects that they had the information available, but the installation costs per year. So you can see here the projects and by color. So it will be interesting if you after this, you can take a look at this chart and analyze more. But maybe more interesting is this one, that you can see here how the levelized cost of electricity has the amount. This is taking into account incentives. That's important, depending on the capacity factor. So of course, the higher the capacity factor, the lower the levelized cost of electricity. So, but it's interesting to know, I mean, to see here, for example, if you have any changes on regulations, if you can install small wind turbines, if you're now limited to 10 meters high, if you increase that to 15 or 20 meters high, then you will have, of course, a huge impact on the capacity factor. And that means that you will have a lower levelized cost of electricity. That it shows the importance of having also good regulations that can allow you to go higher. If we go to Japan, in this chart here on the left with the purple color, you can see here the installations previous 2010. So most of them were off-grid, or basically all of them. And the size of the machines were very small, 1 kilowatt or lower. Then after feed-in tariffs, you can see here how it has increased the number of installations. In this chart, you can see here, this chart is from beginning of 2019, so it's not updated, but I cannot. I wanted to show you this because you can see here the difference between what is installed, that is in the blue, or was installed in the blue, and what is approved to install. So we expect to see these numbers actually growing a lot. There was a change in the feed-in tariff, of course, in Japan, or in the system. Well, here you can see here what is the rate, or was the rate in 2010, last year. So, but what is interesting here is that they have a change in the system, let's say in 2017. So all the machines that were approved to be installed, but not yet installed or installed already, they have to kind of reapply for the feed-in tariff. They have to, because before that, the only requirement was to have a certified machine, but now they wanted to have a, let's say, or they call it, according to my translations into Japan, I'm not an expert in Japanese, so basically you have to kind of certify the whole project or the whole system. So you have to go, for example, with the electricity installation, with the electricity, let's say, officially licensed electrician, so he will also approve this. So basically they have to go through a new kind of approval. They have to submit new, they call it business plan. So they have to submit new papers and then get approved again for the new system. So the number here, the important number, is that by June 2020, that was the last time we got information, there was already 5,000 projects that were already certified under the new system. And from them, only a few, I think it was like around 18, 20 megas were installed already. So that means that by that time, there were already like 80, 90 megawatts approved to install, but not yet installed. So I'm not sure when they will be installed, if there is any limit on that time, but for sure they will be coming during the next months or years. So there was an issue with the manufacturer, Ceres, that they have two problems with in Japan with the turbine was broken. So the Japanese, the government, let's say, they blocked the importation or the installations of these machines for a long time. So that basically, of course, went very bad for the manufacturer. So that also had a small impact on the general market, because then they were more, let's say, careful, the government, to approve things. So, but in here, this table, you can see all these projects, which size, of course, the same with as in Italy. Depending on the feed-in tariff, you will see more turbines. So it was more beneficial for 20 kilowatt machines. So you see most of the manufacturers of the turbines approved for install were in that size. So in this is only to show you, where in Japan are most of the installations in the north. But in here, I wanted to go actually to each county and show how many turbines. I couldn't. It was difficult to translate the name of all the villages or counties. So I just focus on those who have more turbines installed. So you can see actually there are these small counties here in this area. They have a lot of installations. So if you go to somewhere here in this, for example, this area that's supposed to be not so big, you will have there around 10, 15 megawatts of new installations in the next year. So that will be also very amazing to see in the future, where if you go there, you will see many small wind turbines installed. Yeah, so this table is maybe not updated, but you can go online and search for this. Actually, it's in English. Just look for these names online, and you will find, and this title, you will find the updated table. But it just shows which turbines are actually allowed to be installed in Japan. So maybe you don't see now perfectly the name, but if you go online, you will find it very easy with these names. And you can see here which brands and which sizes are which are actually not allowed to be there because expired the certification, or which are actually available to be installed there. So it's good to know, for example, because you can see the sizes and all this stuff. So now let's talk a little bit about the activities. From our, for those who don't know, we are not an association working for small wind only, but we have also big wind. But we have a small wind section that is only focusing on small wind, and that allows us to, of course, to do this reporting, to participate in events, and also organize nowadays webinars and small meetings. So we are welcome to participate as a member, of course. So in the association, our latest activity that we wanted, something we wanted to do for a long time, but we just started, is to work on the policies and the policy side. Our goal is that we have many. Thank you for the link. Now I see you put that, somebody put the link there of the table. Yeah, so we saw that many people around the world went to our website for looking for information, and not only consumers or potential consumers, but also policymakers from different countries to look for example, of information about policies. And we saw that some of them were actually taking the information. They didn't know anything about small wind, but they then took some report from the US, from the UK, and they just copy that or take that information. And of course, it's not the same. If you have a new immature market, you will not use the same feed-in tariff as they were using in the UK in the past, or the same numbers for installation costs as in the US, because this is a totally different market. If you have a new market with a mature market, then you will not have for sure the same installation costs at the beginning. So they were taking this information and they were using it. So we said, no, then we need to have some kind of information for some people, from somebody who doesn't know anything about this, especially if they're policymakers. So we want to work on two things. One is building permits and ordinances. And the second one is incentives, to have to explain, what is a feed-in tariff and how it should be designed, or a net metering, or all the possibilities you have for small wind, how you should be designing this. So we started with building permits and ordinances. The process is very easy. We just organize a workshop at the beginning. We collect some information, then we prepare a draft, then we send it out for consultation. Then we have another meeting where we will be adopting this document, and then we will publish and do some outreach. Our goal is to have it translated to as many languages as possible, and use the local associations also to spread this. They will, of course, be able to adapt, let's say, this document to their own countries or regions. So if you have, for example, a national standard for small wind turbine, you will be able to, of course, reference that in the document and not using the international one if you want. So yeah, or the outcome of this, or what the deliveries of this will be, of course, a template, to have a clear template or model of how this, for example, an ordinance should look like, and also a document together with that it will be explained each of these in a very easy way. What is the rationale behind each of these articles? Or yeah, so we are not thinking about making a 200 pages document, but it will be something very simple somebody can find online and use it as a reference when they design small wind policies. So we are not targeting or grow market or mature markets, but new markets. So just what is inside this? And please, Morten, let me know when the time is over. Yeah.
Oh, you have plenty of time. Just
okay.
go on.
Just tell me. Then what for example, we're talking about building permits, ordinances. So this is just what will be inside, or at the moment what we have inside one of these documents. So we of course have a purpose, definitions, and then we have a general small wind regulations, and then we have other requirements for freestanding. So we split between freestanding and building mounted small wind turbines. And then we have a section that will have will explain, or will include the conditions and what is the evaluation processes for machines that require building permits. So at the moment, what we are thinking is to have a section that will basically allow you to install a small wind turbine without any requirement for a building permit. So if you follow these rules, you can go ahead and install your small wind turbines in your property, And then, of course, if you have to follow the rules, somebody then from the city comes and say, yeah, you're violating this rule or this, of course, you have to change that or fix that. But the principle will be that you don't need to apply for anything if you have under certain conditions. So you just go ahead and install your turbine. So no, of course, many counties the city will not allow this. So they will probably want to also charge a little bit for a building permit to get some income. But that our goal is that to put it like that. Then of course every city, every county will decide whatever they do. But the idea behind this is that of course there are other conditions that will require building permit. But then we explain very easy what should be the process there. So the idea is to make it more beneficial for small wind, but not leave something out so that the cities or the councils or the communities can put something there that is crazy and then will stop the installation of a small wind turbine. So we want to take as much as possible, but not the minimum, but not also to include crazy things there, but to have something in between. So we are in the process. We sent out already we have a workshop. We are sending out now for consultation. So if you want to participate, you will see my email at the end of this presentation. If you want to get a copy of the draft and then send your comments, just send me an email and I will send you the draft. So you can add or check whatever we are writing. I wanted to show you quickly. I will not go through anything, but this is how the document so far looks like. So it's just 3-4 pages. So you will have all these topics that I mentioned. So you can add here or edit whatever, and then we will take it into consideration. So back to the presentation, just a second. Just to finalize, all the information, I recommend you to visit also our website for small wind, dedicated website. There we will have feed-in tariff, we have certification, we have a list of machines that have been certified and had consumer label, for example. Also some directory of members of the association. So if you can visit the website, and if you have any mistake or anything, if new information that needs to be updated, just also contact us. We hope this is only in English, the website, of course, but we notice that many people around the world is visiting this. So if you think there's something there that we should add that will help your local market or your country or your regional markets, to have some information there, please let us know, so I will include it. So here I leave you my email. So if anything, if you want to participate in the as a member or just in the consultations of these draft versions of this policy template, so let me know and I will be happy to add you. So go back to you now, Martin.
Thank you very much, Jean. It was very interesting, and I know that there are some questions or comments, and we would like to take them now. Well, anyhow, we see on the chat that there might be something, but otherwise, while you are considering, I will have a question. It's about Japan. It seems as there is a time limit on the incentives. Is that right? And that also will means that as later you go on with your project, as short a time there will be to get the subsidiaries in Japan. Is that right understood?
Well, I'm not I try to translate as much as possible, and from Japan, the main issue, of course, is to get the information. If you don't know Japanese, it will be very difficult to go online and try to search, and also to contact National Small Wind Association. But what I understood is that I didn't see any constraint on time. So basically, you have it approved, and for sure there will be something there written that you need to complete the project in a time frame. But they have this update on the policy in 2017, and they have to resubmit everything. So I'm not sure what is the timeline for this new, but that was in 2017, and the latest information I saw, they were still adding not new, but people who were already approved under the previous system, they were still getting approved into the new one. So I'm sure all this capacity will come online in the next 1 or 2 years, because we saw the numbers out there increasing. But I'm not sure about the timeline at the moment. I will try to have a look and try to answer this, to include that in the presentation that people will get after the conference. So if I find something about the timeline, but I don't see I didn't see any timeline for having new installations for completing the projects under the small wind feed-in tariff.
Are there any in the audience that might have an idea about it? No?
It must be very difficult to find it, but as I mentioned, Morten, I will try to get that.
Yeah, sure.
And
it was just an interesting question, because if you're going into the market now and you only have, now it's 21 and it was 17, that means you might have 6 or 5 years back. So that means that how good is the capex in it?
That was also an issue with the US manufacturers, Ceres, that they have two incidents with small wind turbines in Japan. So the government freeze out the importation and installations of these machines, so they went bankrupt. So I imagine there are many of the projects were using that turbine, and then they couldn't import these anymore. So I imagine there is a hole there or a gap. So many people probably are looking for an alternative, or they will have to reapply. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But that was a huge impact in the Japanese market, because it was one of the most important manufacturers for the Japanese market. So, and they went bankrupt. So
okay, they might also do things in a very different way as it's done in Western countries. So you really have to adapt to the system there to penetrate it. Yeah. Other questions? Well, then I have another one for you, Sean. You showed in your statistics 1 kilowatt, and the next step was 10 kilowatts. We know that there are a lot of wind turbines in between there. And for example, in Denmark, 6 kilowatt is a very common one. And you also find 2 or 3 kilowatts in other places. The description of these, because it's all said to be only 1 kilowatt or 10 kilowatts. Do you have any numbers to show in between there? Because it's a very big gap, and it seems as it's only these 2 types, but we know there are a lot of others.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the country, of course, from China, we don't have that specific information. Maybe a little bit more spread, but not per kilowatt. From US, most of the information comes from the distributed wind report, so they also use that as a reference. But for example, from Denmark, most of the data I get it from the I don't know what is the name, of course, in the agency in the agency in Denmark, but I know specifically, of course, which size of per installation, which is the size of the small wind turbines, and also for Japan and from Italy, also I know specifically which size of the turbine they're using. And of course, I put it here into bins to show the information, but it actually is a very good question. I think what would be good to have is a interactive, let's say, table where you can actually see the specific numbers if you want. So I will work on that. I don't have that now. I cannot show you now because I will need to prepare the tables again. But this data I have very in detail, especially in Italy and Japan. So I will work on that and try to have a file or a document you can actually play with it and select, or to see each size of the turbine, not only into these bins. So, but I have the information for those countries like Denmark, Italy, and Japan. I can have that, and it's a good recommendation. I think I will have it online.
What about the Netherlands?
Netherlands, I don't have information. That's the big issue for us for small wind is to have information, reliable
Okay.
information. So there are countries that they work on that. So for example, in Australia, there is a registry, so you can actually go online and see each installation there. In the UK, for example, it was the case that they were publishing numbers for small wind, but then they stopped totally. So yeah, it will be nice if we can have, for example, from Germany, from Netherlands. These are good, interesting markets, and unfortunately, we don't have any official or unofficial information from this market. So that's a good if somebody knows, because also I don't speak Dutch, so for me it's difficult to find information sometimes. But I haven't found any information specifically on. So we always, when we publish statistics, we always say that's the minimum we know is installed, because we don't know in Argentina or in South Africa, we don't know anything about new installations. So we can only estimate, but for sure, there are many also off-grid installations. In Italy, the information we show, it doesn't include off-grid installations, but we know there are around 500 like 5 megas per year probably installed in off-grid. So, but unfortunately we cannot. It's impossible for us to know that. So we always show the minimum we know.
Yeah. Okay, but then anyhow, I know there are people participating from Netherlands and all the other countries which are not represented in your statistics, and I will ask them to try to send some information to you.
That would be good. Yeah, if anybody knows information about their markets, that they can send it to me, and I will be happy to include that.
Good. We've got a question.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you for this interesting meeting. It's the first time I'm attending it. I have a general comment or request to Jean and similar interesting organizers. All these reports are missing a very important information, which is the cost of installations per size, per capacity, because we know all that the motivation to install these such systems is the return of investment, and without this information, it will be very difficult to penetrate the market. So I think we have to encourage everybody who is dealing with this information to try and retrieve these important issues.
Thank you, and
it will be, it's we know, for example, in the US is a common practice to include the information in the reports about installation costs. In other countries you can have, for example, from UK in the past 5 years ago, they were publishing that, but for the rest, unfortunately, we don't have that. But yeah, it's a good recommendation, and we will try to work with the manufacturers directly so they can submit, maybe not, of course, not all the information, but if they can provide for example, from Japan, Italy, if they can provide some information about some projects, so we will have a reference for installations costing, because it depends on the country. It changes a lot depending on the country. So, but it's a good recommendation. Thank you for that. We will try to work on it.
Thank you. We are close to end this speech with you. But are there any other questions to Jean? No, it seems not. Thank you very much for your comments, and I hope it will be valuable for your evaluation later on, Jean, on this matter.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was interesting.